Hey there, it's JohnBear555 and welcome to another Tiermaker list. In today's video, I'll be ranking, or listing I should say, tier listing the episodes of Star Wars Vision. Now, you may have noticed, I did a reaction to the trailer, but I never actually reviewed the show. So, you know what? This video is going to be my time to finally do it. I'm a bit behind, obviously, on the trend, but since I hear there's a season 2 in the books, I think probably not a bad time to finally get it before the show actually airs again. Oh, season. So yeah. So this list will be linked down below. As you can see, there's no F tier, but you know what? None of them deserve the F tier. So yeah. So let's begin with Akakiri. That's a bit of a mouthful. But yeah. So this one, as I remember, I really should have rewatched the episodes before doing this list. But very much is, in a way, another take on, in some ways, Anakin and Padme's story, where a Jedi follows his dark side because he thinks it's the best way he can protect his loved one. Very good, very well done, in my opinion. It's not my favorite of them. I'll get to that later. But I did very much like how it was a unique spin on the Star Wars universe. Um, so for that, I think I am going to put it B tier. I mean, S tier, I'm going to say for, I'm not sure which one yet. I'll probably bump something up to S tier at the very end, but I'm only going to put one. And I repeat, only one of these in S tier. Haven't decided which one it's going to be yet. Next, we got Lop and Ocho. And this one is, in my opinion, in A tier. It was a very well done episode. What I really did like about it is it included the ideas of found family, which is very big in Star Wars, but also have the idea of a found family being driven apart, in this case by the Empire. And of course, touch a little bit on the Jedi. A lot of these do touch on Jedi in one way or another. In fact, none of them are absent of the Jedi in any form whatsoever. But what I really liked about this one is told a story that I could 100% see occurring in canon. Like some of these, like probably wouldn't work in canon, like the twins for one. But Lop and Ocho, I could see easily, that happening on some backwater world in the Outer Rim, even with the Jedi connections. I just could see that happening so easy. Then the Empire comes and all that. So yeah, I do think that was a very good one of my favorites. That might be the one I bump up to S tier. So either that, or the Duel, or the Ninth Jedi, or the Elder, or Toby one, the TOB one, or Tatooine Rhapsody, or the Elder. Okay, it could be any of them except for the one I've already ranked. But let's move on to TOB one. And you know what? I am only gonna put that one at B tier, only because I did feel like it was kind of slow, and not in the way I wanted. I like seeing things so like it does not make sense. It's a good story. I really like the style of it. But for me, it just like it was slow in the wrong way, if that even makes sense. I think another way of describing it would be and there at some point needed to be a little like it was just slow in the wrong way. I really don't know how to describe it. Not that it wasn't bad, but just was slow in the wrong way for me, which is probably the weirdest reason to describe something. But yeah, that's all I got to go with. Next up is Tatooine Rhapsody, and I actually do think this probably is my least favorite, so it's going C tier. Um, it's a fun little story. I could also easily see that one happening in canon as well. But I mean, I don't. I like the idea of Jedi power hiding, but also like you hide in plain sight, which could actually very easily work knowing the Empire. But it's just it is enjoyable. All of these are enjoyable. None of them in any way are bad. But in some ways, I would say that was my least favorite, and only because it's just not my favorite. I mean, at least I could start with TLB1 describe it was being slow in the wrong way for me, which again, there's no really wrong way to be slow, just not my preference of something taking it slow. But with Tattoo Rhapsody, I think it was more the music aspect. While I do enjoy musicals, I don't necessarily enjoy um, music operas, for lack of a better term, even though I do enjoy musicals that are told nearly entirely through music. Again, I don't know how I can describe it effectively because it's so innate. But I think the easiest thing to do is just to move on to the duo. And I gotta say, stunning. I mean, it is super, super stunning. Excellent, very unique style. All these, of course, have very unique, very well done animation styles. Um, but the duo definitely is just one of the most unique. Also, I could easily see this taking place years, centuries after the sequel trilogy, also years, centuries, millennium before the prequels. If we want to try to fit it in canon, which we don't need to, it can just be an alternative universe, a interpretation, a story told in universe even, and which I think is just so fascinating. Like all of these could easily be in-universe stories as well, which I just really love that. But the duo is just fascinating animation style and borrows very nicely from Japanese history and all that, especially with the concept of basically laying the samurai and all that. I'm not an expert in Japanese history and all that, but from what I know, it did so well and pulling from that, which makes sense. These are all done by Japanese animation studios, anime studios, so they would know that stuff that me as an American will only be familiar with what has been exported across the Pacific. But I mean, the animation style is kind of like it kind of gave me the vibe of animated storybook, if that makes sense. And I really like that vibe in animation. I really do like how all these are just a different animation style, which helps make them more unique, which is making it very hard to properly list them because animation style can subconsciously play into how I'm ranking these without even realizing. But next up is the Elder, which I very much like. I could easily see this happening in canon. It's probably the one I could say best happened. I mean, like during the High Republic, even two Jedi stumble across a Sith who was long saw dead. I mean, that is an excellent story. But am only gonna put this one at B. It's not my favorite because there's so many other good ones. Speaking of good ones, we gotta put the Ninth Jedi up there at an A tier. Just an excellent way. I just really like the take on the universe and lightsaber lore and all that, and how this one person was able to tinker lightsabers in such a way that the color will change based off of who's holding it. And I really love how that plays into the story. It's just a great story, and I really did appreciate it. And I also like how the main character we follow, as she becomes more connected to the Force, the color of her lightsaber gets brighter, and I really just love that visual distinction of her connecting to the Force. Next up, we have, of course, the twins, which in many ways is basically a what if Luke and Leia were raised by the Empire? In many ways, that is the case, and then how that shapes them. And granted, it's not them, but it is them. But like, come on, like the image here, you got the Luke stand-in right next to an astromech droid. Come on, and of course, this one I would say is probably the one that goes most anime of the bunch. Like, I mean, stereotypically anime, I should say. Like, what us Americans who are not big into the genre think anime is. This shows, the series as a whole shows there's so much more to anime, so much more to Japanese animation than just the stereotypes of anime. But for me, I'm actually going to put it at C tier, mainly because for me it felt was more action than anything else. Like action was like this one seemed like what's the craziest thing we can do in the Star Wars universe, and story felt like it came second. Now for some people that is exactly what they would want, but for me I would appreciate if the story is a bit more polished. But again, all these are good. And that leads to Vidge Bright, which I think I'm going to put that at A tier. So like TOB1 is a bit slower, but it picks up, and I think that's what helps. Like there's a better balance between slow and action, slow and fast paced, and also action and non-action stories. So I really do. That's why I'm putting it there. And again, a Jedi just protecting the innocent. So that leads to this. Which of these in the A tier am I going to elevate to the S tier? all of them have their pros and cons. Um, Personally, for me, I think it's going to come down to a choice between Lop and Ocho and the Ninth Jedi. Um, and both of them are very good, but I think I'm going to go with the Ninth Jedi. I know probably a lot of people would pick the duel to be the top one, to be the SQ, but for me, I feel like it is the Ninth Jedi. I really like the symbolisms with the lightsabers and how that played into the story. That though is so significant. Like in others, sure, lightsabers have meaning. Initially blue for good guys, red for bad guys. Then of course green was created as a secondary blue guy's color. But besides that, there was not that much until maybe some things were established, like such as Ahsoka purifying bled lightsaber crystals in the Ahsoka book. There's a few other things like that in canon. Legends did delve into a bit more of like Jedi counselors and Jedi guardians and Jedi warriors and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But the Ninth Jedi was, I think, the first time where, also outside of the game, where the colors of lightsabers meant something to the story itself, not just a way of assigning a power class to a character. In other words, which is very video gamey. Besides the now, granted, it was used to identify good guy versus bad guy. But what I really liked is there was one character who because of his temptation basically being undercover, that caused his lightsaber to change until another character was like, calm down, and his lightsaber returned to a color we associate with the good guy. So probably it was either green or blue. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then of course I mentioned the main character before with her lightsaber actually becomes more attuned to the force, gains more colors. And there was another character who was torn, and so his lightsaber I think might have appeared purple. But I really do like how the changing played into not just red for the bad guys and all the other colors. I mean, good guys, and then a mix of the colors. Purple means conflict, but how that was not shown just through having the character having the lightsaber, but the character's own lightsabers changing to reveal those things about the character. That is amazing, and that I think what really pushes it to SQ for me. It's just a unique way of using lightsabers to use a visual medium to help convey story elements that, sure, the actions of the characters told us as well, but now we have a visual thing. Kind of like, in a way, a mood bracelet or a mood necklace or a mood ring. Not quite the same because of the Force, but I really do like how that was used as a storytelling element. But it wasn't necessarily apparent, even though we were told up front. But that is where I'm going to end this. So if you would like to do this tier list, it will be linked down below. If you'd like to share it, you can do so on my Twitter or on my Reddit. My subreddit is r/stalkingbay555. Be sure to check that out. In fact, also feel free to share this stuff on my Discord server as well. Links will be down below. But yeah, this is my review of the Star Wars Visions. All of them were great. Ninth Jedi was definitely my top tier one. So I hope to see you again soon. So thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, feel free to like, upvote, share, subscribe, follow, heart. You know the drill. Check out the link